I have to do an audio check, but I think we're live in a second. Any minute now. I have to do an audio check, but yep, we're live. Sweet. Okay. Add everyone. We're going through the scenes of the LFG year anniversary video. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so it was voted on. I don't know how many people are going to show up, but this is going to be a VOD, so people can watch it later. It doesn't matter. But some people were interested about, some people reached out to me about how we made the 5-year anniversary celebration video for the Legendary Bowl. And so we did a vote on it, and it seemed to want some attention, so we'll do it right here. And I'll try not to take up too much time, but just before we start, just to preface, and for anyone watching this after the fact, we will go ahead and quickly do one watch through of the video so that people know what we're getting into. Is the Discord public or private? It is public. I will send an invite link right here. There you go. Okay, we'll do a quick watch through of it for anyone that hasn't seen it, and then we'll get right into the behind the scenes, kind of how it was edited in After Effects and Blender, and kind of how it was done. Okay, we'll watch it real quick.
Palmer stepping up, throwing, caught, touchdown, Michigan State!
5, left side! They didn't tackle him! They didn't tackle him! That's all over!
Will Shooter win his first win? It's good! Touchdown, Charlotte! Oh my God!
Chase rolling out to the left. He's going in zone. It's he's got it to one.
Excellent.
Oh my Jesus.
Okay, so that's essentially the video. Oops, that's my school. I should close that. So essentially, I mean, oh, whoops. There is like a little story behind it. I won't go into too much, but it's supposed to be basically, these are supposed to be like snapshots or like moments of in time during LFG's history and stuff. And then this is supposed to look like the space-time continuum in a sense. Not super scientifically accurate. Lots of artistic, like, I guess, whatever you want to call it, artistic liberty taken with it. But that's essentially what it is. And then it kind of explodes into kind of like a climax where we finally are still, in these moments in time where everything's a little bit distorted, but we get to kind of see more and see it play out and stuff. And it's all just to kind of show off the best moments of LFG history. Then we count down from season 49 to season 1, right? And then the thing in the background, the little explosion approaches us, and it kind of encapsulates everything. But yeah, so originally this video was going to be a tribute video for Hayden. Hayden hadn't streamed for like a year at this point. And so we were going to make a video kind of, recognizing him and all the contributions he made. But then we got the Legendary Bowl, and Hayden was like, hey guys, do you want me to commentate it? And I'm like, okay, you know what? We can't make the tribute video anymore. We'll go ahead and reformat the idea and use it for an LFG celebration video instead. And so I found this really cool song by M83. I'm a big fan of M83. He has a lot of great music, but My Tears Are Becoming a Sea. This song is great. Actually, I didn't find it for the video. I've known about it for a while. But we used this song. The song is awesome. We kind of did a condensed version where we shortened it by like 20 or 30 seconds. But regardless, this is the cool song. It kind of, I don't know, it just seemed to fit right with kind of like a memory history video. Is this live? Yeah, this is live, Chesty. We're going, it's going to be a VOD so people can rewatch and stuff, but that song was perfect fit what y'all were creating. Thank you. Yeah. No, I thought it was super perfect because, I don't know, it just, you listen to it and it gives the emotional impact that we wanted. Because again, the video itself is cool, but it needs the hits. And the players really, from the feedback that we received, it did its job of creating that emotional impact. And a lot of that is the song. There's only so much the video can do. And actually, usually because I'm the one and we're the ones creating this, we don't like have any reaction to it. I did get chills a couple times while making it, which is kind of an indicator that you're doing the right thing. Okay, but now we'll get into how it is actually edited. This project file is a mess, and that's usually how these devolve into. How long did this take to make? About 2 weeks. Not 2 weeks of just doing this. We had to balance a lot of stuff. But I'm going to go into the details of how we actually made it. It is pretty cool. So the main effect that we'd used, and I'm going to make a new composition in After Effects. This is Adobe After Effects for anyone that doesn't know. We make all of our graphics and all of our animations inside of here, but you can use it to basically do whatever you want. So we make our hype videos and our anniversary videos and stuff in After Effects as well, because there's a lot of cool effects and a lot of cool things that you can do. But essentially, the main effect that we use to achieve a lot of the stuff is called... What is it called again? Wait, this is kind of embarrassing. Hold up, I need to check. I'm blanking. It's been a while since I've been in this project file. CC Ball Action. That's what it's called. My apologies. We use an effect called CC Ball Action. Now, CC Ball Action, basically what it does is it takes an image and let me get a better image. One that's not blank. Let's add a gradient to this so we can see it. Gaussian blur. Yeah, CC Ball Action. So, essentially what it does is it turns everything into balls. And what you can do with the balls is you can displace them. Sorry. You can displace them based on factors like their brightness and stuff like that. So if you have an effect called fractal noise, which fractal noise looks like this, and it's kind of random, it randomly disperses the brightness, right? So there's parts that are darker, there's parts that are brighter. If you add fractal noise and then add CC Ball Action on top of it, and you turn the ball size down, you can get a really cool effect that kind of looks like this, and you can displace it and stuff, and it looks really cool. And then you can also do things like you can twist them, so you can rotate it and stuff. And yeah, you can rotate it as well along different axes. And you can get some really cool effects. And a little off topic, what did you think of RC's Legendary Bowl if you watched it? I did not watch too much of it. I did watch a little bit. I thought it was good. As much as I'd like to say I watch a lot of the Legendary Bowls, I really don't. But I did see your guys' animations, and they did look pretty cool. That's what I'm kind of watching for. I don't really I don't really care too much about Football Fusion, but outside of streaming it. So if I'm watching it for the broadcasting stuff. But yeah, I thought it was good. But yeah, this was essentially the effect. And so one downside to CC ball action is that it is only the color of the background image. So you can see it is only white. But you can add effects on top of it. Like you can add fill, for example. And then you can make it whatever color you want. Or you could add a gradient ramp. Or sorry, a 4-color gradient on top of it to give it lots of different colors. And you can tweak the positions of this and stuff. You can also add like tint or like a whole load of other effects to give it, you know, you can map, it's like change the black colors to red and the white, keep the white colors white, or you can even make the white colors black, whatever. You can do a lot. And then if you layer glows and stuff, you can really create a cool effect. And maybe if you add blurs and stuff. Basically, we just used, the point I'm trying to get across is we used this effect as kind of a starting point that we built off of, and we added other effects to the kind of make this the effect that we wanted, right? And this is a very like detailed example, but look, now we have this really cool kind of explosion thing. And if you mess with the fractal noise and you like change the complexity, maybe turn the complexity down, and then you change the evolution so it can like animate and stuff, you can get a really cool effect just like this. And this could be a cool background that you could like mess with. But you layer the effects and you add some cool stuff. I'm going to turn off the motion blur because it's going to lag. This project in general lags a lot. It took around 2.5 hours to render, to make the final render. And the final render had some like glitching in it where parts went black. I don't know for the life of me why that happened. And I could not bother to render it again because it took so long. Regardless, to make I think one of the initial effects that we came up with was this one where you kind of fly into the LFG logo. And this effect was pretty simple. All it is the blank LFG logo scaled down to this size, right? There's no effects on this. It's just pure white. I'm going to take off all the effects so we can actually see what's going on here. First thing we do is we add that fractal noise, and that gives it kind of some disparity. I'm also going to hide the adjustment layers so that there's not that noise. First thing we really do is we just add that fractal noise to give it some darker parts, some lighter parts, CC ball action, right? And then that allows us to kind of actually expand the logo out, right? And then you have that cool animation of the camera flying through it. And we have a camera as well in here. The CC ball action effect is 3D, so it works with cameras inside of After Effects. So you can animate the camera's position and stuff, and like you can move the camera into the logo. But you have that effect, and you're animating the displace right here to do that. And then all we did was added a 4-color gradient on top of that to give it the color that we wanted. And then this really neat effect called Deep Glow. You tweak some of the Deep Glow settings, and you get a really nice glow. Now, this is very saturated, and I wanted the more LFG yellow kind of thing. I didn't want it so white, so I use curves right here to kind of tone it down and to give it that effect. But this itself looks really cool. Now, we do have 2 other effects in here, CC Bender and CC Smear. These effects are just used for the little intro animation of it kind of flying in. So these don't actually do anything besides this little like flying animation. Quite honestly, I didn't know how to make a flying animation, so I just messed with the bending. Like I bent the logo and I smeared it, and it looked about what I wanted. So then what we did is I added another adjustment layer to do blur, and just kind of had this text kind of scale in and stuff, and it has some has a vignette on it, so the sides are a little bit darker than the middle, just to bring your attention to the middle of the screen and stuff. And then on top of everything is some noise and some flicker. I think the noise just looks super cool in the background. It gives it a more like camera or like a film effect almost, and I think that's cool. But we have the intro animation. Also, there are stars in the background. I got this really nice star map from the NASA website, which is the actual very I think, yeah, this is 4K, a 4K image of our sky, and that's just slightly in the background. And then, yeah, that's basically the animation. There's black bars as well on top of here. And it zooms in, and it does that, and it looks super cool. There's one more thing. There's this layer, which just adds some extra, like, glow. If I remember correctly, it's just fractal noise, yeah, with, like, the transparency turned really far down. And then we just tint the fractal noise to make it yellow. And that adds a small little amount, you can see on the side, a little bit of glow on the sides, just to make the scene look more full. So that was made in After Effects. The next parts are made in Blender. Now these parts actually look terrible without the effects. If I turn off all the effects in After Effects, it looks awful and you can barely see what's going on here. And I'll go ahead and hop in the Blender and show how this was made, but it looks terrible rendered out of Blender. But to make it not look so terrible, we just added some color correction to it basically, and some glow. We use curves to kind of crank up the brightness a little bit. Curves you can do a lot with, but like, look, you can make it very bright, and this alone looks 10 times better than the alternative. But for us, we added glow later, so we didn't need to turn up the brightness so terribly much. Then we add the deep glow, and that kind of does 99% of it, honestly. We added some optics compensation. So this is not traditionally what this effect is used for. This effect is used for the correct for field of view in like an actual camera, but you can do the inverse effect just by adding it, and it kind of bulges everything out. And this was mainly because there was these issues where it was kind of dark on the side, so I was just like, okay, you know what, we can fix it by doing that, and you don't really see it anymore. And then just some chromatic aberration, which adds these kind of RGB effect to parts. And then there's a vignette added onto everything, which adds a subtle kind of what we corrected for already, but it's more to the amount that I like. And yeah, that's basically that shot right here. We go into the other one as well. This is just a continuous shot in Blender. So it kind of just animates over there. And you can see the optical compression looks kind of cool when stuff gets to the corner of the screen. Kind of bends it all and stuff. I think it looks cool. This is my favorite shot of the whole thing. And there is a cut in here. This was a continuous shot in Blender, but there was too long of a gap and I couldn't get it to line up with the song right here. So all I did was cut it and then faded it, and you don't even really notice the cut too much. It is very laggy, the preview. But that's what that looks like. And basically it's the same thing here. This one was a little bit too dark, so I added just a green layer on top and then turned the transparency down a lot. And that just made the background a little bit more green and made it a little bit more full. And then this one right here is basically the same effects and stuff. There's a small tint, which I have no idea what the tint is for. Is the tint actually used? Apparently. Oh, it's used at the end. I guess the tint is just used to darken it, so. But nothing too crazy. Okay, we'll hop in the Blender real quick, and just so I can show off the Blender aspect of this. You should get McDonald's caviar. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Okay, here's the Blender file. So basically what it is we have these models right here. Now these were actually positioned and rendered, or sorry, positioned in Roblox Studio. So they're just the Football Fusion jersey models, and then you export them as a 3D model after you pose them inside of Roblox, and then I just brought them into Blender. And Blender has a thing called geometry nodes, and basically you can add a geometry node by going up to geometry node right here, and basically that's not the one I'm looking for. Where is this is the complicated geometry node. Okay, here's the easy one. Basically all you need to do is, there's a couple nodes. First of all, we have this node called distribute points on faces. This is what is actually creating all of our points. So if I disconnect this, oops. Yo, I don't know the keybind anymore. I'll just do this. If I disconnect this, you can see it's just those points. And then we just add another effect to set the point radius. We add an effect to set the point material. And once it has material, we can color it whatever we want based on whatever this material is. So this material presumably is making it white. Yes, it is. And it's as simple as that. So it's just distribute points on faces. And then to make this little effect right here, it was kind of by accident. I went into edit mode inside of Blender, and I accidentally dragged. Oops. Make sure you're in the right version of edit mode, vertex mode, and not faces mode. I just accidentally like drag some of the points, and it makes this really cool effect where everything's like super dragged out, and it looks super cool. And so if you mess with that enough, you can get some. Basically, I was going for like motion blur because this is meant to be like snapshots in time. There is actually no motion, but I wanted to convey that there is motion, just that we can't see it because it's a still frame. So this is essentially that effect, and it looks pretty cool. And so yeah, we just have these three things in here. These are lights. So these lights are the color of whatever the scene is. And then over top of everything, there's a volume. So this is just a cube with inside of the shading, it's just a volume, which gives the kind of fog effect. And so if I go into preview mode, it's really dark, but once you go up close, you can see we have the light. And no, I didn't do that on accident. The Blender stuff was done on purpose. I will get into the thing that was done by accident in a second. But yeah, and then it's just a camera being animated. So the camera animation kind of looks like this. This took a while to get right, but oops, there's the camera. And so it tilts and then it goes really quickly over there. And then it zooms around and does that. And we can view it from the camera's perspective. And bam. And then bam. And again, to convey motion as well, these footballs right here, there's 3 of them. I think there's a better way I could have done that, but that's hindsight. Can everyone do the graphics channel in Discord or just certain people? Everyone should be able to. You might have to verify, but everyone can post in the graphics channel. It's a community thing. The RSPN server is kind of just turned into a community server. We don't really stream too terribly much. So yeah, that's kind of what we use for. But yeah, this was the Blender stuff. There is another Blender scene, but it's essentially just the same, just with different positions and stuff. There's 2 more. And yeah, you just render it out, and the rendered out version looks terrible. Again, it looks like this. But with the effects I showed earlier, we were able to turn it into something that actually looks pretty good. So, now we move on to probably another one of my favorite scenes, which is this thing. So, first thing you'll notice is in the background, we actually do have the star map. and it's 3D, so you can see it kind of move around and stuff. But the main attraction is this thing in the middle. So we'll go ahead and hop into this comp, and gotta figure out which one it is. I think it's this one. Yeah. So this consists of two CC ball effects layered on top of each other. We have this first one, which we have this layer which is just a kind of tiled missing asset image, and so it gives the cool RGB effect. And on top of that, I added CC ball action just to kind of give it this. I have displacement as sphere eyes, and I have it give this kind of sphere-like look to it. And then I add a vignette on top of that to kind of blacken the edges. But when you add, and don't ask me why, because I don't know why, this was done by accident. When you add another CC ball effect on top of it, it turns this into this. I don't know why. Well, inherently I do know why, but it looks super cool, and it was not done on purpose. And then it was basically just about making this look good. Cranking down the brightness a little bit, adding some flicker, and then adding our deep glow effect to give it that glow. And it looks super cool. And again, we still have the on top of this, there's actually a lot more effects on top of everything. There is another deep glow to give it even more glow. We add chromatic aberration, so that just does a little bit of stuff down there. We add some of our optics compression again to give it that effect. Some blur somewhere. The blur is not being used right now, but there is blur somewhere on there. A vignette, and then just mess with the hue and saturation to turn down the whites a little bit, and makes the colors pop a little bit more. And then some flicker. And so basically then it's just animating the camera. And because everything's 3D, the CC ball effect is 3D, the camera's 3D, the star map can also be used using the CC environment layer. And the star map is already animated with the camera. So when the camera tilts and stuff, the star map tilts with it. And you can see that's what that looks like. It looks pretty cool. So then we just have that animation. Then we have a 5 come in. The 5 is, don't really need to go too much into it, but it is a CC ball effect again. And we just have it like tiled of some videos and stuff on there. And then it kind of devolves into an explosion where everything explodes. And that's just using CC ball again. We have another layer afterwards, which is I make everything turn white. And then we have another layer, which is just this ball. Now, everything's really glowy here. There's actually just a solid layer that is just white on top of that. This is what the ball looks like without that. But this is just, again, CC ball effect with sphere eyes, and you displace it until it's a sphere. And then, bam, we make that big enough until the camera's in the middle of it. And there is some blur right here when it does that to kind of smoothen the transition. So you don't actually notice it at all. Because otherwise it just kind of pops in. You can see it right here.
Bombers!
Oh gosh, jump scare. So that's what it looks like without the blur.
Bombers!
And then the camera tilts like that, and we fade in our first clip. So the clips are pretty cool. Lots of stuff going on here. It's actually kind of 3 layers. So we have the first layer, which is just our white thing in the background. It's really blurred out, though. You can't really see it too well, but it's there. It's in the background. Then we have this layer, which is our actual clip, which is going on. And we have the clip layered a bunch of times. The first one is we have this layer, which is CC ball, and with a lot of blur to kind of give it these streaks on the edges. Then we have another CC ball, which is around the edges. It is a oh gosh, gives it that effect. and then everything is masked and positioned in 3D. And then we have this one, which is kind of just the outline layer. And then we have one without any effects that is just masked in the center. Because if you don't have it, the clip looks super weird, and you can't really see what's going on.
Stepping up, throw
In it. But with this layer, we just kind of get rid of all the effects, and it's masked so that the effects stay put on the outsides. Because the outsides you don't really care too much about. And then we have the score bug masked as well, and just kind of overlaid on top of everything with a drop shadow. And so, yeah. Then you just animate everything using the null. So everything's parented to a null. And there's a 3D camera, but everything's animated with the null. And it's just like kind of some simple rotation stuff. So obviously at first it rotates like this in. And then, yeah, it's just kind of simple rotation. And so that's basically essentially every clip. I used a plugin to do this little glitchy effect right here. That's supposed to transition between the two clips. It's a data mosh effect. So I don't know what the plugin's called. Data mosh After Effects. What is it called? Data Mosh 2, I think. Yeah, I think it's called Data Mosh 2. Yep, it's this effect.
You got mail.
So that was used to give the glitch effect, but that's pretty simple. It's simple with the plugin. And so this looks really bad, but I really only focus on making the parts within the black bars look good. And again, there's effects over top of everything. There's that deep glow effect. Makes it super glowy. There's the chromatic aberration. There's the optics, which again does a lot of work in making everything look super cool. Small vignettes and some highlights, hue and saturation, and some blur. Again, I don't know what the blur is used for. I don't even know if it's used for anything, but it's there, I guess. And all the clips kind of follow this same pattern, the same effect pattern, so I'm not going to go into each and every one. Another one of the important things that you have to consider is the audio. There's, at some points, I'm not going to play it through After Effects because it's going to lag, but there's a lot of cuts that are done to the audio to make the clips sound better. It's like, for example, I'm pretty sure...
Up, throwing, caught, touchdown, Michigan State!
So these are unedited, but... So, like, you have, like, that's the game overlaid into the next clip, right? And the audio on this is completely, like, manipulated to the kind of, like, this audio clip was before this started happening, and then I cut out audio in the middle, and then... And then we continue the touchdown Charlotte as we fade into the next clip as well. And then the interception. And the interception stuff continues into the next clip.
Rolling out to the left.
And we kind of overlay the audio a bit since it just sounds good.
He's rolling out to the left. He's going in zone. He's got it to one.
Excellent.
Oh my.
Jesus.
That oh my was added later. I didn't think there was a big enough reaction on the X clip mid, so I added another reaction to it.
Oh my.
Jesus.
So yeah, just some stuff. But again, you kind of have the creative liberty to do whatever you want. Big shout out to the guys in LFG Council. I think it was a direct big shooter time. Who else helped me out? I'm gonna go look. Oh, Trivial or Spiral as well. I feel like I'm missing a name. But they help find a lot of the, well, give me a lot of the clips. Again, I don't really follow the LFG too terribly close right now, so I didn't know what would be the best clips to show in this. So big shout out to them for helping out with that. I'm just gonna go make sure that I didn't miss anyone because I really would like to. Man, I talk a lot in here. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah. Quantum, half snow, border, direct, spiral, trivial. Oh, wait. Sorry, I did that twice. Yep. Okay. I got them all. Yeah. We did that, though. And then, so yeah, then there's this final kind of animation at the end, which is of the ball coming back and the letters kind of fading in. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. And then, yeah, that looks like that. And the letters come in, and it just counts down. And the thing in the background gets bigger. Until, and I add this little blur to kind of blur out the numbers. So to bring your focus onto the ball, that's getting bigger. And bam, everything goes white. All that's left is like the little flicker that you see in the vignette. So this looks kind of cool. And then everything fades out. And then there's just this one final scene. Celebrating 5 years with LFG. This is just, where is this? Where is this layer? Up here. This is just a lens flare over top of it. I don't even know if you can see it. Don't know why it's not showing up, but yeah, a little lens flare and just the text with a vignette on the text that, again, give it that kind of shadow effect on the sides. But yeah, that was the celebration video. I mean, again, there's a lot of details that went to this, like the black bars is an effect called CC Jaws, just overlaid on top of everything. And then again, the music is cut right here. I'll play the cut music. See if you can notice it.
Excellent, man. Excellent.
So normally it sounds like this.
Excellent, man.
Whoops. Gotta get rid of my audio fade.
Excellent, man. Excellent.
Oh my Jesus.
So the song continues for a while.
Oh my Jesus.
But we cut it short because it needed to be.
Excellent, man. Excellent.
Oh my Jesus.
And then there's some sound effects here, and these are just these are taken from Outer Wilds, which is a video game. That just kind of sound cool. So that was done. And yeah, then it was about rendering it. Took a while to render. But that is the celebration video. Originally going to be the Hayden tribute video, but that was that. What's your opinion on the Sunday Night Football's touch animations? I think they're good. I think they're cool. I feel like I like the customization aspect, like the per team stuff, how they're different for each team. I feel like for a lot of teams it's very difficult, and a lot of the animation doesn't make total sense that I've seen them do. I think in week 1 it was kind of the best. The Ravens one was super good. So was the Bills with the like big stampede of buffaloes. And I just don't feel like it has been up to that level ever since week 1, the first week they used it. But I do think it's cool. I like the personality that they have, and I think NBC has the best productions and the best graphics out of any network right now. I think it's close with ABC and ESPN behind it though. Yeah. I think it's kind of hit or miss. I think they were great in week 1. And that's the week I paid the closest attention to them because they were new, but I think they're cool. And I do really like the new graphics package they have going on over there. It looks very nice. I think... Oh, there's the lens flare. That makes more sense. There it is. I think they did a great job with that. Why is there water in my leg? What the heck? Okay, I don't know. Yeah, but anyways, if you guys have any more questions right now, I will keep the live stream on for like 5 more minutes. And I guess we can talk about anything else. And while we wait, I have a little like write-up of the story of the video, because there was a story that went along with it. So I will go read that off. It's like 2 paragraphs, if even. So, the idea behind this video was to showcase some LFG's greatest moments throughout its 5 years of operation. I really liked the point cloud. Oh, that's another thing. The whole effect was point cloud. That's the actual like term of the effect that we use, was this point cloud effect. But anyways, I really liked this point cloud effect I achieved with the LFG logo at the beginning, so much so that I decided to surround the entire anniversary video's theme around it. The core idea of the video emerged afterwards. The short slideshow at the beginning was supposed to almost be snapshots of memories in time. They kept with the point cloud effect because they were only a memory and certain details about them had been lost. This is why there's no animation besides the camera simply panning between them. Next, I had the idea of going into something that almost mimicked the space-time continuum. It is far from being mathematically or visually accurate, but the idea is similar. Each moment represented a point in time in the visual, and we're traveling in this 4th space-time dimension. In a creative decision, I decided to have the visual kind of collapse and explode, allowing the viewer to finally explore each individual memory in greater detail. This is where the video montage takes place. I thought of having it inside the explosion. I still kept with the point cloud effect, but most of the video and audio for each memory can now be viewed by the observer rather than it just being a snapshot. Each of these memories is located and explored in a different part of the now collapsed and expanding space-time dimension. At the end, we count down the seasons, and the observer and the video itself are lost in space. I took a lot of creative liberties when making this and didn't think about the particular story I was trying to tell until much later in the creative process. Despite this, though, I still thought I'd share my particular interpretation of what this video's meaning was, and I hope others can share their own interpreted spin on it. I hope you enjoyed this anniversary video. So, yep, that was the video. I think I'm going to end the live stream now. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you got some sort of value out of this video. Again, took about 2 weeks of time. Not entirely just working on this, but kind of off and on trying to balance the other stuff we were working on for the Legendary Bowl. But the whole video's idea probably emerged around like a month before the Legendary Bowl. But around 2 weeks of actual in production time of it being worked on. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Make sure to subscribe to RSPN. We'll probably hopefully be streaming soon. Again, hope you enjoyed the Legendary Bowl. If you watched it, if you haven't already, we have highlights. We have full video replays. We have the anniversary video that you can just watch on its own, and the team introduction video as well that you can watch, as well as a special behind the scenes if you wanted to see the actual production behind putting on something like this live. So lots of stuff for you to check out if you haven't already, as well as lots of other